What's up everybody, Omid, Succeed with Omid here. Today's going to be a little bit of a different video. I've got an unboxing from a company that I just heard of. But before I get into that, one of the biggest questions I get asked a lot is, Omid, do you drink? If you want to be a healthy person, can you still have alcohol? Can you still have all of these little vices that really aren't too terrible for you, but they will get in the way of your results that you want, maybe in the gym or in your performance in your career or anything like that. What I always say is, yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I do. Never to excess, always in moderation with pretty much anything you do. But one of the other things I also say is, know what goes into your body. Now, the problem with most people when they start drinking anything or when they start putting in foods of questionable quality is they really don't know what is actually going to their body. They could be getting a lot of different toxins, they could be getting a lot of different molds, they could be getting a lot of different low quality ingredients, or things that are added to the foods or drink that they're having that aren't really regulated, unfortunately, by a lot of different agencies out there. So this next part of the video is a company that I just heard of that's doing something unbelievable in the wine space. And I'm actually not a big fan of wine in general. Really one of the biggest reasons is it just makes me feel really bad. One of the things I learned about is that wine is actually not anywhere near as regulated as really any of the other spirits in the world, nor any of the other foods at all. I'm going to get into some of those details in the unboxing video of what I just got. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. Alright, so I heard of Todd White and dry farm wines on the Bulletproof podcast, and the concept was really interesting to me, but the first thing I wanted to do is, I was actually blown away about the packing of this, so I just want to do an unboxing video at the same time. The coolest part, I was really worried about how you ship wine to somebody, and they really spared almost no expenses. Every single one of these bottles is in between this really cool packing material. Nothing has a chance of moving around in here at all, which is really awesome. I'm not a wine guy. I've never heard of any of these brands before, but you can basically get a mixture of whites and reds, which I got, or you can just get all whites or all reds. But one of the things that Todd White was saying in that interview, if I can get this stuff out, is that he's really picky. He doesn't actually make any of his own wine. Instead, what he does is he goes around to winemakers that have already been doing this a while, and he has these different criteria that he's trying to go for. One of them is that there's 0 additives at all that he allows in any of these wines. In the European Union, what they really do is they have this limit of up to about maybe 57 different additives that are allowed to be added. In the US is higher than that, it's about 76. His wines that he selects have 0 additives to them at all. The other big thing is soil quality is a big thing these days in the agriculture industry and in the kind of health industry. We're really worried about the soil. He also, Todd White, basically says there's not going to be any irrigation allowed. The reason is the root of the grapes, the bulb itself. When you irrigate from the surface of the soil, it actually makes a very small bulb. The bulb doesn't really have to grow. The roots don't have to grow to search for a lot of the nutrients in the ground. And in Todd White's opinion, it makes for a very bland tasting wine. You're not going to get a lot of the full flavor, and the strength of the plant is actually low because it didn't really have to fight to search for a lot of nutrients. So the bulb actually, instead of being about this big, grows to a huge size to try and search for all those nutrients, all that water, to try and get everything out. A couple other things, the level of sulfites that he allows in his wines. I had an idea for a while that the sulfites were something that I was really kind of allergic to, and the amount of sulfites he allows in there, I think he has a maximum limit of about 70 parts per million. And usually in the US especially, you get about 350 parts per million, and that can be pretty high. A couple other little facts. There's really not any American wine companies that actually make it to Europe, because in Europe they screen for a lot of different stuff. The challenge is if there's additives and there's mold toxins and stuff like that. In the US, we really don't screen for that. In Europe, they do though. So a lot of the American wines that actually get to Europe actually get dumped because they're toxic. And they have all sorts of mold and everything. Ochratoxin A is something that's a big deal. It's basically a mold toxin that really kind of messes with your entire system. And that he actually limits to about 5 parts per billion, which is pretty close to zero. That's as close to zero as you can really get. Last thing I kind of learned about wine is that the only thing required to be put on the label, especially in the United States, is the actual alcohol content, but that's not regulated. So sometimes that alcohol content can actually be thrown off up to about 15%, and usually in the wrong direction, down. It's purely for marketing because lower alcohol means usually healthier. So they'll usually lower it on the label and actually jack it up inside the bottle to basically make it a little bit more entertaining, is the best word to say. So I basically got 6 different bottles. And the coolest part is I'll include a link to their actual website. There's actually a 7th bottle here. I think for a limited time they're actually running a buy 6 get a penny bottle added on top of that, so that's what I got. It's a subscription-based service. They'll send you 6 a month for I think about $160. But I'm excited. I'll have follow-up videos to this on how each of these tastes. I have no other knowledge about wine except for kind of the science behind it, because I'm a science guy, okay? So there you have it, guys, my little unboxing video of all this wine. One little stat that I forgot to mention is about sugar. Alcohol basically turns directly into sugar inside of our systems. The amount of sugar we take in makes us all sorts of inflamed, irritable, mood crashy, fat, all that type of stuff. So it's usually a pretty bad thing. Todd White basically said in this podcast that I heard that the sugar content in these wines is pretty dang low. I think I remember the term under 25 grams. Most wines actually are floating somewhere about 100 grams of total sugar content, which is quite a bit. To give you some perspective, there's some wines that can actually get up to 300 grams, which is really, really, really high if you compare it to a big old 2-liter bottle of Coke having about 106 or so. So it can get pretty bad. I don't think any of these wines are the sweeter wines, so we'll see about that. I'm not usually a sweet guy, so I'm hoping. Alright, I hope this information was very helpful to you. As always, keep mind of what you put into your body, what you do to your body, how do you carry your body, where your posture is, what the breathing is like, and life just tends to get a whole lot better because you're loving yourself and all sorts of good stuff, alright? I hope this information is useful to you guys. As always, have a whole lot of fun, drink responsibly, and I'll talk to you guys later.